You are live.
That's what, oh, there we are now, yeah. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And just before we move on, 8.3 quarterly report, corporate strategic management, unless somebody has a real good reason for objecting, we're going to remove that from the agenda and add it to next week's when we're at 4 sites. Because we can, and we don't have an awful lot on next week's.
It's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
8.3.
Quarterly report, corporate strategic management. Okay. So, do that, we're on 8.2. J-class revenue.
Morning, Council. Thank you for your kind attention.
I'm feeling sick.
So we are in round 3 of J-class roads. So as per last week's discussion, I brought for you a condensed list of the top quartile of the expanded list. So the expanded list is the we split out some of the longer length roads into constituent parts that make more sense.
Yeah.
What's the two sheets?
Okay, I'll get to that immediately. Yes.
Immediately?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the first sheet that I've handed out for you is the road as they are ranked. That's how they rank as per the criteria.
Yeah.
The second sheet is just a cheat sheet. It's exactly the same list of roads, but if you look on the last kind of beige column, it just gives you the least expensive to the most expensive. So it's just a quick reference. Because cost is obviously a component of the decision.
Yeah.
Any questions on the handouts? I've given it so that it may be a little bit easier for some to navigate and scribble on main notes.
So I assume what you're saying is we can mix and match these. Do whatever you want.
That's the discussion. It's
Why don't I let you give your presentation, Charlie? Sorry.
So, but basically, the point of the exercise is to land on the top 10 approved roads on the expanded list, so that we may present that or submit that to the province for consideration for next year's construction season. That's what I would like you to discuss and give guidance on.
So if I could ask, I'm just looking at the list here, and when you do this, you're doing the streets in section, I'm just looking at in my area, North Street, so then it says from the station, so that's obviously a 3, would be a 3-section
Yes.
project, right?
Yeah, just because of the total length
Yeah,
of the
that's
street, we've kind of sliced it up into more manageable chunks.
So if that gets on the list, whatever section would be bit from Swinton Road to Adams or from Station Road, I would assume from Lawrence Ave to Adams Road would be the first, or wherever it would work.
Yeah.
If that was submitted 1 year, okay, and then so the next year obviously would be to submit the next section. Would make, yeah, okay, great, thank you.
You're going to comment now?
Yeah, as good a time as any.
I think thanks for explaining the second handout. I appreciate it, although I think I've had to leave town. I think Regent Street have Pigley priority. Everybody knows Pigley is the worst road from the point of view of traffic and the danger and the walkers. Not confused with the Walker Road, people that pedestrians. So, my perspective, Big Loop or part of it has to be on the list. I have questions about 2 that aren't on the list that have caused some grief. We had a presentation on Walker Road. If we go back and look at the tapes, we basically said,
Gonna do something.
we're going to do something, but right now they're not even in the top 29.
I know.
So leave it to the warden to explain that.
I don't know if I can explain it, but.
Oh, I forgot it's my district.
Yeah.
I guess I have to. Anyway, it is what it is, right? And then, of course, Chester Downs, I'm sure you're gonna comment on that, that's the one that you've been concerned about, but I don't know, once we set the criteria. It's an objective criteria.
Yeah.
It's difficult not to accept the results because we set the criteria. And this is what comes back, so.
Andre?
I don't accept the results. I don't care what came of our objective criteria. There are roads on this list that, like you, I question how it could possibly be ranked higher. And I understand you're following a mathematical formula, but that's supposed to in some way bring order to the chaos because we're receiving input from the community. But what seems like the mathematical formulas we've set forth don't relate to what the public wants us to do. And I know what the public wants to do in my district. And you do too, because you heard this morning, and then that's not one lone voice. That it's important to the people in my district that Chester Downs get done. That is, I mean, even one of my other bad roads, Stevens Road, you can't even push a wheelbarrow up that road. And it's, how far down on the list is that? I don't even know. 24. So I recognize that what we're trying to do is take a list of bad roads and determine which one is the badderest.
The cleanest white shirt, your cleanest
Dirtiest
shirt,
white
your
shirt.
shirt, yeah.
Yes, so, and that's the challenge that we face here.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really care what road we do, as long as it's Chester Downs Road.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but we're cognizant of the squeaky wheel. People that are voicing concerns and we tend to give them the attention. I'm surprised, actually, that you would take the approach that the squeaky wheel should get it over the most need. It's all to do with the criteria. You seem to go against your philosophy.
Well, if I can respond.
You said you like debate around the table.
Yes, I do. The issue is like, this criteria is supposed to measure need, but it may not actually reflect need properly. We think it is. That's why we set it up, but does it? You know?
It does when it can. To me, number one is right. And we're probably only going to get one at that price anyway. So maybe it's a moot point for this year. We have to present something for this year. Now,
We don't have much time left.
right.
This is the day.
So I see going forward, we can go back and review the criteria, but for this year,
We just did that.
Yep.
I know, but obviously didn't work the way we thought it might work. I mean, what, you know.
Well, what criteria can our staff use for politics? There is-
We've asked them to do it to keep the politics out of it, and
And that's what they've
And
done.
they came back with that.
they came back to the list. I don't know, you're telling us that Chester Down Road is deplorable, and yet they didn't rate it that way. I don't know. Is there a,
There's other metrics besides certain travelability.
It's certainly not as bad as the Stevens Road. which is the worst road.
Yeah.
Walker Road, disgraceful.
Well, as there's degrees of disgrace, you're right.
Yeah, it's gonna fall apart.
But the thing is, and from a practical point of view, Walker Road is not gonna be done until the structural work is done.
No,
And that's
but we
what
could
they're-
add it to the list, subject to the structural work.
But it doesn't even make the top 29. on the
Well,
independent
I know, but
analysis.
you can back it. You know it's gonna fall in there.
I get it. I agree with you. But I mean,
It's almost on a list of its own. And we're supposed to be meeting with the Department of Transportation to discuss that, but it's difficult for me to have that discussion with them to say, you go do all that structural work and we'll help pay for the repaving. If it's not even on the list of things that we're gonna do, unless it's an exception to the rule. You know, so I don't know how to even approach it anymore.
Well, I'm gonna defend staff. I mean, we've asked that,
vote. I don't know how much time you spent on this, but I know it has to be quite a bit of time because you've gone over back criteria, we changed criteria. And we tried to take the politics out of it, and I don't disagree, there should be some politics in it, I don't. But I think we have to pay attention to this list. I don't know how we can't pay attention to the list. And I know, Andre, you're not even on the list. I don't know how you move to the top 10, period. It's not based on politics, and I don't think we need to do that right now. I think we need to go by our list and make the decisions.
Tina,
So I sat here like you with the direction to staff. And then a few times around identifying, and even the last time, the percentages were tweaked slightly, I think, in terms of the meeting, not last meeting, because we were talking roads, but before that, when we agreed to the categories and the criteria and the percentages, we even tweaked a little bit.
Yes, there was a slight adjustment in the weighting.
Yes, a
We
slight adjustment to
increased
the
the
weighting, yeah.
condition
Yeah,
and then we reduced.
So we did that. So obviously, whether it's coming into play for today's decision, because it is today, because this is the last council meeting before the 30th of November. So we have to make that motion today. I'm curious as to where we would land at, other than what's on this list. I'm really intrigued on how we would weight and the percentages, because we do have to do that. If you're not happy with this and people aren't happy, I will go with whatever the majority goes with, because I have not won J-Class Road to be necessarily personally or politically concerned about. But I'm very curious as to where we're going to land the political, row and then the column and the checklist and so on. So I'm going to be looking forward to that council discussion. So I'm not sure if that's today, but we don't want to waste too much more time not arriving at that and staff to spin their wheels over and over.
Sorry, Tina. I mean, we gotta move this along, obviously. So I would like to see, because North Street is proposed in 3 sections like Pig Loop and a lot of the others. So, I mean, if you're looking at a project like that, so I'd like to see North Street, Lawrence Hat Road to Adams Road. And that's one section. And then there's another section and another section. So, you're looking at a period of time. So if you do the one section, like we spoke, and it gets on the list and it's accepted, maybe it won't be, but if it's accepted, and then, so that sets the stage for next year to say, okay, we've paid this section, same as Big Loop or any other road. If they do Stevens Road or wherever the road is in sections. I think once we start that, and I like that idea for the longer sections, because if you do it all in one, you're sort of out of money before you start. So I'd like to recommend North Street be put on the top, that section from Orange Hat Road to northerly to Adam Road on the top.
Right
That's
now.
where it is, I don't care, but
right now it's 16th on the list.
yeah.
Because it's got a score of 14.7. So it is on the list of all the J-Class roads, and that's where it's landed. So it is on the list.
It is on the list.
He wants to move to the top.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, no, that's different.
within the top 10, yes.
Yeah, so that's different.
Yeah, that's fine.
You need to find another point.
Pardon me?
You need to find another point.
Well, it just that, my point is that if you don't start from some, especially if it's a section road,
Get a
you
bus
do-
stop on there.
if you're doing it in the 3 sections, by the time you get the 3rd section done, at least it'll be done. To do it, if you're not gonna do it in all one smash, that changes the equation for me. So that's why.
Derek,
First question is points,
Mhm.
and very interesting. But you have the points for the people that didn't make the list. So we can see how far down, for example, Chester Downs or Walker Road would be. What did they score point wise? Do you have that, or did you just score the top 29?
No, this, we were supposed to bring back the top
Yeah.
29 for this meeting.
Yeah, understood.
So the
Last week's
last week-
meeting did give the entire list. I
they're
don't know what,
farther down, that's for sure.
yeah, I don't know what the number is, I'm afraid.
The other question is, there was some paving done on the Old Commons Road, the Halifax Highway, the old number 3, whatever you want to call it, and there's some paving down on Patton Hill, I think, this summer.
They aren't J-Class.
What's on
Old
here?
Trunk 3 is down as J Trunks.
Head Hill is on
I'm just
here.
wondering, help me, who?
We had nothing to do with it. They just went this.
It was, yeah, it
On what
was,
basis was that then?
That was done on their maintenance, whatever it was in their book to do.
In the rim, in the rim stuff.
Tell me how that works with respect to J Class. I mean, they already paid part of Trunk
Yes.
3.
But they didn't ask us for anything.
I know, but that's the problem, so. Is the
Well,
problem,
that's the politics of their work.
I get that too. I mean, they have paid one, they ran out of payment, I think. But is there any way we can find out what they're planning to do with the rest of Old Trunk 3? Because it's, if they were, point being, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are Old Trunk 3. But the province has already put some money in without us contributing this past month. Last month.
But these portions of Old Trunk 3 must be considered J-Class pieces.
Really?
Well, they did pave a little bit of
Well-
Haddon Hill as you go up Haddon Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know how
As I
far.
understand it, those were to maintenance.
Just
And
maintenance,
so
there's
we're
no
maintenance stuff,
repave.
yeah, that's right.
Very big patches.
yeah.
Big
They're
patches.
allowed to go fix potholes and do stuff.
We love them. Is there any way that they can do maintenance on some of these other roads?
That's
I
the
mean,
politics of
They're
it.
trying to get people to understand.
There is no way.
We can certainly ask, but whether they give us a straight answer, an answer at all is another story.
Well, can't we just put, it's frustrating.
Of course it is.
But I don't think we can arbitrarily, Counselor, simply say, you know, I want my North Street ahead of your Valley Road.
Well, I
How do you do that
ask,
When we have an independent criteria.
yeah, and absolutely, but I'd ask, I'm representing my district.
I understand.
Sure.
I understand, but I think because of, yet you want that, I want to move some other roads up.
Yeah.
Not gonna work, right? We gotta accept the independent criteria.
I can't explain to the people in my district why I'm spending their money to fix roads in other districts, and I'm not spending any to fix roads in my district, and they don't care whether it's J-Class or
I
not.
know, that's what I read.
Yeah,
That's what I read.
But that's the world we live in, isn't it?
I get it. What I'm saying is,
But we have to pick a couple of roads over my way.
Pink Loop Road is terrible. And
Yeah.
there's a rink there and a golf course, we just talked about for 10
And the
minutes.
daycare.
There's A lot of traffic.
daycare,
We need
yeah.
to do something in my mind. in that
That is a massive road. We at least need to do a section.
that section is desperately dangerous.
It is.
I'm never gonna budge on that as a number one.
Well, it's listed number one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So once we start playing with
Let's
that.
put a motion on the floor to do something.
Andre has his hand up, and then we're gonna try to move on.
So there are 2 roads that have come to council specifically.
Walker,
Because the residents are so in such a desperate state that they had to address us directly. Walker Road and Chester Downs. Walker Road, I think most of us probably have driven it, and it's in terrible conditions, falling in the ocean. You know, it's ranked 53 on our list of 65 roads. Okay, so, you know, you can't, I disagree, you can't dismiss the human element here in our assessment. At the scoring for Chester Downs is 11.3. The list cuts off at 11.4.
It's not even on the list.
So, you know,
It's not good on it.
no, this is,
But it's not good. How could we possibly move that up? Seriously.
we can do anything we want. I hear that all
We
the time
can,
here.
but I can't. justify it.
I won't support anything other than Chester Downs being on there. I don't care. That's where I'm at.
yeah,
I know that.
I just
know
don't
why.
know how we're gonna take the top.
Why? Because
No, I know
I'm
why.
gonna be driving by and they're gonna be taking pieces of the road and throwing them at my truck.
Sure.
I feel your pain.
Chicken.
And I think you're gonna have the same treatment with the folks
How many
on
do we
Walker
need?
Road.
Tell me about it. You think
Well, we
we're
usually
recording
send in
stuff?
10, but I mean, we're, you know, but I mean, In the real world, if you don't send in ones that are gonna be possible to get approval.
So
for,
Derek,
wait.
which section of, sorry, what section of Pig Loop would you be submitting, Derek?
Whatever the,
Number ones,
yeah,
would that make sense? Not this, for, because it's gonna be done in sections, so
probably the most dangerous.
that's the most dangerous, okay? So we know that's number one,
It
okay?
is on there.
It's on the
That's
list.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, so that's one, we're getting somewhere. So I would like, I mean, I know the criteria, but I agree with Andre. I mean, I think we need to look at that. And I have J-class roads in my area, and I do, but I see Andre's point. I mean, I'm not against, and I don't know, was that Chester Downs section by section, or is it one fell swoop? I didn't see.
I think
I don't have
that they
number.
have broken it into two pieces, and I think that residents would be happy just to get the front part.
Any part, yeah.
But, because, you know, that's the worst.
What's the
That's
front
where,
part?
when you first start in, there's a little straightaway until you get to like, you get the little branch that kind of loops around.
Well, that's the Chester Downs is the loop, isn't it?
It's a loop, but yeah, when we get to the first where it branches, the loop comes down again.
Harding.
Yes,
Well, they have it broken into two sections, so it's, we could submit.
And I'm willing to do that and move that up on the list, I don't care.
I'm glad.
And as well, I'd like the consideration for my road to be moved up,
You're not gonna,
my section.
you're not gonna bump mine. because
No,
Based
this-
on your politics.
No, but what I'm saying, we gotta pick 10 roads, we gotta pick 10 roads, okay?
We have,
I have.
But he has it,
we gotta vote on it, so vote no.
okay, that's fair, but I'd like to see Andre's road up there, the one section.
I wanna see Andre's Road up there, I wanna see your road up there.
Yeah. Well, well, we
I
can,
wanna see Walker Road up there, because you guys all together made a
All right.
collective
Anybody
commitment
else?
that now we're down
Tina?
to
Thank you.
53rd.
Thank you. So I have a question around Pig Loop. And I didn't take notes the last couple of meetings on this that we had the discussion, but where in the discussion is our traffic impact analysis? Because we had that report, it was quite, when did we receive that report as council? It was 6 months ago, a year ago? I don't even.
Something 6 months ago.
6 months ago. So we've had that report for 6 months. Pig Loop is in there,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So how does that all jive?
I think they've spoken with Derek about the report. I know in my area about the traffic report. I have discussed it with staff with the, who was it? Gord, I think it was. and talked about the
But in
report.
terms of our decision-making here today, and Pig Loop remaining is number one, if that's the case, I don't know.
I'm trying to know, worried.
Based on the fact that there could be other things happening,
That's correct, and I don't know, I don't remember.
because wouldn't that impact
It would.
the traffic impact
If we were gonna
analysis?
do
that-
other work, which is outside of
Yeah.
this project.
Yeah.
then Of course, we would have something.
So we engaged the consultant, we got the work done, we received the report, we're sitting on the report. There could be other work done on Pig Loop Road, so why isn't that coming into play for our
I
discussion
raised
today?
that, I raised that last meeting.
Yeah, so remind me where we landed on that. If there's other work potentially gonna be done on Pig Loop Road.
Yeah, I don't know if paving this section would impact any
Okay.
of the additional work that we're considering or not. I don't know.
So that.
well, I would think that, as the area supervisor said, that if that part was picked, from what I understood from what he was saying, is that they would address the structural things in that. That's the understanding I had. I mean,
That was on Walker Road.
oh, sorry.
We're talking
So,
Pig Loop now, where we did a traffic study.
but did he say no, that Pig Loop was, needed structural stuff too at that meeting? No.
And all the roads need sun,
Yeah.
I think, but I like Walker Road, it's not falling into the ocean like Walker
Yeah.
Road is. It is just so busy.
Yeah.
And with that hill is so, very dangerous, and it is the most dangerous, and I'm more concerned with the danger
Safety dangers.
And the pavement.
than, well, both, but you gotta fix the paving, you get the big ruts and so. It was clearly the worst, but I agree. I'd like to know where it fits in with the active living plan and the, whatever you call it, as far as the plans, long-term plans.
Yeah, what's the impact of repaving unless we're doing the other work?
Yeah.
Probably reduce the cost of the other work, because some of.
I don't know if we're gonna change the,
The most we're gonna do is put sidewalks there, in the sense, once we repave it. And maybe, I don't know, that turn is an engineering nightmare, I'm sure. As far as,
I don't hear anybody answering the question, and I can't
Roads,
Well, let's find someone who can answer that question.
So, council, you've received the traffic study. It's on your website. You have not made any decisions on some of the recommendations. For Pig Loop, there was options identified for one-way roads.
The
There
reason
was,
we haven't made any decisions, the next step was to have public hearings and talk to the community and ask their advice. Because we had 5 options on the table.
right. And so that.
Do I have those
when we
public
have that-
meetings or are they called by the municipality?
No, staff will come forward with review of that. I believe it's on our priority list to bring it forward. It hasn't happened to date. Can I tell you with 100% certainty that if Pig Loop was on your list of 10 and it was selected by the province, that you'd be paving something that might be unaligned with the decision you make? I can't tell you with 100% certainty, except I would doubt that a repaving would
Causes any.
would cause you any grief. You have infrastructure funding for Pig Loop for active transportation infrastructure. That is, I think, most certainly on the side of the road, either paved corridor or a traditional sidewalk. The traffic study was about, do you go with one-way streets at any point along Pig Loop? Do you go with that permeable barrier? I don't know if you recall that. That's
We made it very clear at that meeting that one way wasn't going to work in people, and that's off the table.
I think it is for most of us, but we didn't make a
You
final
did
decision.
not, there was no direction from council on that, so I know that there was discussion about it, so.
But it was very clear that that wouldn't work.
Well, whatever.
The discussion was, will we do a cul-de-sac halfway up and, you know. Yeah, it's got to have more discussion.
Not being a road engineer or the public works, what I'm saying is that if it's a one-way road or a two-way road, it's
Paving above Harvard.
it's a paved road. And so I don't anticipate, but if, that's up to council to decide if they wish to.
Well, I think it's a dangerous lot of traffic. It's number one. When time comes, I'll make a motion to accept I know the discussion is still on.
That'd be a good start.
Andre first.
I've got 2 roads that are identified in the top 10 list that are in my district. I'll gladly give up both slots to put Chester Downs up there.
You give up those 2 to put Chester Downs in one of those slots.
I can live with that. Which ones are they, Andre?
They're ranked number 2 and 4. You can, I gladly put Chester Downs in number 2.
I need 3 to trail crossing. You sure that's in your district?
So it's right there.
Says District 1.
You don't want another J-class road in your area, do you?
No, but I'm just trying to get the geography right. I'm trying to put it in my head.
And then I'd like to gladly
That's in district.
take one of those spots that Andre gave up to put in my.
No, just
Yeah.
saying, that's in
He's
district
going
3,
by
right?
this list.
No, it's from the
Are we going-
3 by the community center.
Oh, that highway 3. Oh, God, yes, okay, sorry, the two highway 3, the old highway.
The old one.
It's actually
Same here. So you're talking about down by the old school.
right by my house.
So Andre's prepared to move number 2, Highway 3 to trail crossing from the list of top 10 if we add Chester Downs to the list in number 2.
2 and 3. he said.
And rank
2 and
2.
4.
Well, yes, he's also,
Sweet my proud.
yeah,
Make a deal here.
yeah.
2 and 4 you want removed.
If he can get Chester Downs into the top 2.
You put it 2.
And
You
as
give
I
it
said,
up- you give it up the number 2 spot.
and I'd like to propose that I take that number 3, 2 or 3 spot for the first section of North Street, as I indicated. Because it's a.
So you want to add North Street to the number 3 spot?
I don't care if it's 3 or 4, as long as it's in 10, it's in 10 center, doesn't
When
matter.
we start moving, I'll block a road.
There's something to give up.
Should be.
But it's,
I already have number 2. It's crazy.
I know, but we have to do something.
Not a report.
Well,
We're just taking the list and throwing it away. Is what we're doing.
I know, I just want to know what we're doing.
I don't have Chester Downs in front of me in terms of weighted
It's not
score.
on the
The
list.
weighted score is 11.3.
Oh, no, that's what I wanted to
Didn't
be
even make
reminded.
the list.
So the weighted score based on the staff work and independent, arm's length review of 20.7 for those two roads that you're proposing. Or no, actually, one is 20 for an 11.3. One weighted score, I'm just talking independent arm's length weighted score. Okay, no, just want to make sure.
You have it 100% correct.
Just wanted to ask a question.
So you feel the condition of those roads aren't as bad as Chester Downs?
Nobody's talking to me about those roads.
And I would agree that Chester Downs is probably more shape than the Old Trunk 3. And I'm surprised Old Trunk 3 is in second place. But that was their criteria we asked them to use.
Yes, based on the criteria.
Anyways, I'm happy to horse trade that out.
But once we start horse trading, as we talked about earlier, it's a slippery slope.
It's greasy.
So then I'm gonna make a motion.
There it is.
Sure. Ready for a motion?
I am, if you're prepared to make it.
Well, I'm gonna make it so we can at least get something on the table, that we accept the report as presented with respect to the top 10 items.
Do we have a second?
Before I second that, what page we on?
Are we
First
using
page or
this
second
front
page?
page?
The first page is the page.
Yes,
page.
first page is the page, the second page is just the cost. Is that
Well, I know,
cheat
but we
sheet?
were moving stuff around. The top 10?
That's what we would be submitting.
So, to be clear, not on review.
No, this is the list.
That's the motion. I feel badly making that
No,
motion.
that's okay.
because
I just
know-
wanna
I know
understand
the
that.
politics of it,
Yeah.
but I have the same politics.
But you've got your road. It's number one.
No, the one you guys are
Walker
committed
Road's
to
not
is
on.
Walker Road.
Our road's not even on.
It's not even on, not even.
I'll second the motion.
Since we're in discussion, I want to trade number 2 and 4 for Chester Downs. I will make room for other people who want their roads, but I gotta get that Chester Downs on the list. I know what's important in my district. It isn't those roads. So I don't care what the numbers say. That's not what people want. So I don't need numbers to tell me what people want. I already know what they want. They tell me themselves. Get rid of those roads. I'll gladly give them up for Chester Downs.
So we're in discussion.
Yeah.
When we're looking at, say people, say they chose number 1. At 361,000, is it likely we're gonna get a second?
No. That's 20% of the province's budget.
That's
So
the
you
problem.
may not even get people.
Oh, God, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right, we make it nothing.
Mhm.
I get that.
Each one of these roads is between 15 and 20% of the province's total
What was the
budget.
cost estimate on Chester Downs? I don't have that listed over this.
I don't know.
I can tell you.
We talked about the cost
The
estimate.
thing you gotta look at here, if they, let's say for financial reasons, they say P Group Road is, can't do it, there isn't enough funds. They're gonna move to number 2 automatically and do Chester Downs.
That is our
as number
assumption,
2.
yes.
Yeah,
The Chester Downs Road, which is not even on the list, will be done first.
I don't care about this.
What's the number on Chester Downs?
I'm coming.
I don't know.
And then give me the one on Walker.
We would have to change our policy to do that. We should.
We don't have a vote.
There's no such thing as a policy for politics.
No, but we could all add in that the criteria that we're using for J-class roads.
So
And in
the
the end, we can,
to answer your question, the
Councilman
cost
Jenkins.
was, the total cost of Chester Downs was $436,800. And so the province's cost share would be $218,400.
But wasn't it broken into 2, which sections?
No,
I don't have that
Chester-
paperwork here for it.
Chester Downs.
There's
he's
2
talking about
sections.
it in the
Yes,
front.
that's correct.
Yeah, so-
That's the big chunk. There's another.
that's just one chunk of
There's,
it?
there's
Yeah,
another
that's what I'm
piece, there's
saying.
another piece that's 197,800. I'm not sure which piece is which.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Just give me the number on Walker Road as well.
I have Walker
I
Road.
can't pick it out of this.
Walker Road is 51, 52, and 53.
I know where it is.
I know, but I'm just
What's the cost of that one?
Is that
I know.
last week's?
That's
telling
not-
Andre.
The total
also
cost of
that
Walker Road is about $1 million. The entire thing.
there's
That's not the structural.
The first
That doesn't include
343,
No.
second
No, that's
340,
just
oh, yeah,
repaving our part.
more than a million.
Emergency alert, we all have to go home. Anyway, we have a motion on the floor.
It's a motion to majority. To accept them as presented. Except it's
That's
not,
correct, that's the motion.
just clarify it.
That was the motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
We're gonna put a bunch of roads down. I don't want that.
It's not gonna get them, because the amount of money's gonna be used up.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. On forward.
We're gonna have to.
I'm gonna have to move.
I can go, I can park in my base.
I was gonna say,
Moving to new roads.
don't come to New Orleans.
That's your cross roads there.
That's all I can say, is don't come to New Orleans.
Okay, we're on to water distribution program.
Okay.
Yay.
Water distribution.
It's information.
Something we can agree on?
No, it's good discussion.
It is a
try it.
discussion.
This is really just an information memo. And First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring council up to date concerning the water distribution program that we just went through last summer. So we started the water voucher program on August 29th. That was week 1. And that was following the decision that we were going to use a trigger point of 30 reported wells. So we triggered it at that point. We maintained and used the regular distribution services supplied by Chester Independent, Chester Foodland, Chester Basin Petrochem, Hubbard's Independent, and the Clovis Farm in New Ross. We also used Graves Island Provincial Park for additional water pickup and showers. Uptake of those services actually was very minor this year until the park closed on October the 9th, which was Thanksgiving weekend. We also offered to provide Tancook residents with in agreement with the municipality of Lunenburg. There was no uptake from those residents, nothing redeemed. So following a partial recovery of the water levels due to the precipitation in late September, that was our hurricane, and a drop off in public participation, the program ended in week 7 on October the 16th. We recorded 242 dry or low level poor quality wells across the municipality. We distributed 11,400 coupons from August 29th through October 16th. And the coupons redeemed at the end of the program were valued at $22,679. There was one problem with the distribution, and that was because of the wildfires up in Newfoundland. Some of our suppliers did not have the 4-liter jugs, so we had to have a couple of weeks where we had to distribute 500-liter bottle.
That's expensive.
Yeah, that was more expensive, but it was only impacting the independents, and it was actually not too bad with respect to the cost. The low-level distribution, there's a map in the report also, but looking at that number of reports, District 3, District 4, and District 5 were the top 60% in in the number of reports. The other areas, District 6 actually reported very few this year. District 1 was around 12%. So that gives you a breakdown, and also I did a little bit of a comparison to see if there was a difference between last 2020 and the numbers showed approximately the same with respect to the distribution of the water and the dry wells. So it just gives you a small comparison. The information for council on the actual civic numbers and in your areas is available, but because of confidentiality, it'll be, it's not public. Just the residential participants, there was 481 who had picked up over 11,000 coupons. The program gives you a week by week participation. As you see, it dropped off as the wells recovered. Out of the 11,000, we estimated there was 10,300 or 10,400 redeemed, which was a redemption rate of 91%. And that value was at 22,700. So that gives you a breakdown of the program this year. The total cost, as I say, was about 23,000. And that gives you a comparison also of the prior years. The last one in 2020 was approximately the same. So and the actual distribution was the same. So any questions on that? This information on the mapping has been transferred over to the Public Works Department, who are working on some other alternatives. So yeah, so that information is all on file. If you do want a list for each district, I can send that out.
Anybody, any questions?
No, other than,
Somebody stopped in the street and thanked me the other day when they were driving by the.
oh, absolutely, but it's not the answer.
Yesterday, day before yesterday.
I think there's
It's not, we know it's not, that's not the answer. We need to look at,
We are.
we need to really get down and not,
Who else?
well, community wells or where, you know, we just as Floyd had his report from EMO, you know, they're looking at potable water for their comfort centers. Is that right, Floyd? One of the things, and I have potable water in my area, and we need to get right into the weeds and say, look, and have, I don't know how, you know, staff would know, but we need to have a hard discussion about how are we gonna do this? Are we gonna partner with the organizations? Which organizations? We are, you know, we know our fire department, I know my fire department in my area has to, they have a kitchen. It's legal water, it's potable water. So those are the things we have to explore, because if we keep kicking this down the road, this water program is not the answer. It hasn't been, you know, we need to get at it for next year, have it in place for next year, my view.
Yeah, it's a temporary.
Yeah.
It's a temporary solution.
I like your words.
Yeah,
They
the
can
costs
take it
have
again.
doubled since 2016. The same amount of wells were reported dry roughly, but our costs have over more than doubled.
Water costs.
Yeah.
Water costs is more this year because it was a shortage.
I mean, and if a resident knows that they can go in their community, own community and get potable water, you know, it would make more sense, especially if you're rural, to have to drive to Chester to pick up water. I know that's not a small part of it, but this is a huge issue and it's gonna continue to be a huge issue. And we've got the answer. It's right in front of us as far as I can see.
What's the answer? The use of comfort centers?
The use of comfort
Is-
centers
is-
or halls within your area, like my comfort center, they serve the public, they have potable, but fire department, they have 3 or 4 wells there, they have a kitchen there. They have outside taps. So, yeah, and I don't know what everybody else's, New Ross must have an area, Chester Fire Department obviously would, I would think, I mean, I don't know about that, but within certain areas that we can do it,
Yeah,
We need to do it.
We just need to
We need to do
sort
it.
out where we're going.
Yep.
Yes. sort
the
of.
the other
option
issue is
report's
the bond. is-
The options report is coming to council. So
Perfect.
that's what we said, that's just.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Good.
report.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question related to the previous? I'm wondering if we could get, this issue we just voted on previously, J class roads, is going to create some questions.
Yeah.
Can I get the analysis that moved Walker Road from 5th to 53rd?
We can give you the listing using with the old criteria,
Yeah.
and we'll give you the listing with the new.
There's gonna be some explaining to do.
Yeah. So it should be able to look at what the old criteria weighted versus what the new criteria weighted.
They went from 5 to 53.
Yeah, that should be possible
Yeah.
with the listing of the old and the new criteria.
Oh, you're gonna need. So am I.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on to 8.5, request for direction, corporate strategic management, community welcome signs.
Morning. Good morning.
We have a bit of an update on the community welcome signs project, as well as specifically some direction around the proposed signage locations that have been identified in the attached map in the report. So this is, the community welcome signs project is a result of a few council discussions held, where staff were directed to prepare a report on the cost for adding welcome signs initially at 3 entrances to the municipality in Martins River, New Ross, and Hubbards. In addition, council discussed a request to consider adding Mi'kmaq community names to municipal signage as well. And then in further discussions, potential sign locations were discussed with the conclusion to add 3 more locations to the proposed entrances to the municipality. Staff are also directed to come back to council with information on costs and locations for the signs. So that's what today's report is. The proposed signage locations are highlighted on the attached map. They've been selected based on the border to the municipality.
Can you put those up on the board? Is that possible? Or are they already on the board behind?
There they are there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a mistake. Highway 12 and 14 need to be flipped because where you have 12, that's actually 14. And,
Oh,
where 14 is highway 12.
okay, sorry, we'll correct that.
Yeah. Okay. Those are the locations.
Those are the locations. And then in terms of costing, we don't have an exact cost as of yet, but staff have confirmed that the sign purchase, printing, and installation can be all done by Nova Scotia Department of Public Works. So the signage, so for the metal sheets, printing and posts, it would cost between $2,200 and $2,500 each. So for 6 signs, this would cost up to $15,000. So what's not included is labor and installation for those 6 signs.
And those are what size I think?
Those are 5 by 8 by 5, yes.
That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So that's similar to the signage that's outside of the home hardware. The Blue Nose Coast sign.
Yeah.
Maybe I can make comment because cruising in my convertible, I noticed there was lack of signage, or in my opinion, there was, and I brought it to the table. And I was quite surprised when I saw this. I'm not going to get critical, I'm really not, but at the size of the signs, I just thought we would have
Smaller welcome to the municipality.
just so you recognize you're coming from one spot entering the municipality of Chester.
Okay.
I don't know, like, I know the line in Harvard where it's just up past the trellis, and that sign there, I think would be
And the way of everything.
too big. I really do. I just think it'd be huge. And I don't know what the other locations, what everyone else feels, but I just thought we were gonna have a small sign
Welcome to the
recognizing
municipality of Chester.
that you're leaving HRN, coming to the municipality of Chester.
That would go to cost too, wouldn't it?
Well, and the cost is what it, well, I
Well, the
wasn't
cost.
looking totally at the cost. I really felt that the sign would increase if they're too big. That was just, my opinion of it, but I do think we need signs to recognize where, when we're entering our district and all that, but, anyway, that's just a comment.
I agree, we're too big.
I have a question around the traditional place names, and maybe you're gonna mention this in a minute, so maybe I'm jumping it a bit. sorry. So if we are looking at, can you remind, did you mention already where we are in the process of identifying the traditional place names for each of those communities? And what are we looking at? We're looking at, is it Canaan? Would that be the community that we're looking at to Hubbard's for
I think
sure?
we're.
Hubbard's for sure. Is it Canaan? I don't
I
remember.
think these weren't
It was-
community
it
signs,
was-
they were just welcome.
Welcome to the
municipal-
municipality of
Oh,
Chester
sorry, so we're
sign,
not
so
putting
it's just
traditional
using
place
that.
names on?
None of
No,
our other signs do
no.
that.
No, but we
We're
did.
welcoming people to the municipality of Chester as a whole.
No, I just
My
remember.
understanding was that there is no traditional name for the municipality of Chester, so from the discussions I had earlier through the week, because that was a concern I had with what we were gonna do, was that we would use their language to welcome you to the municipality of Chester.
Okay.
That's not, we, trying to remember in what depth we might have talked about that at EDI, because it is important.
Yeah.
And that's, you know,
Everything is-
yeah, and I know that, I think that Andre first brought it because somebody had emailed you around incorporating and using our full language, if you will. So the way we would know it here at the table, but also the reaching out to Acadia First Nation and having those discussions. So that's news to me. Like, I did not know that.
Well, I think it was unclear, and that's why I wanted some clarity, like what precisely were we talking about? Because like, and I don't want to get too much about it, but we're welcoming people, these to the municipality of Chester because we're a specific identity, political, geographic identity.
And I thought it was.
So if we're gonna use the Mi'kmaq language to do that, it should say the same thing because we're welcoming you to that same place.
So for direction from staff, so we were operating on the traditional place name. That's how we approached Acadia First Nation. We have not yet at the staff level met with Acadia First Nation to see what their interests are in terms
Yeah,
of.
if we're gonna do that, then
question.
then we're gonna have to get down the road of changing all of our other signs and to where you're entering, and then why aren't we putting them on every community that we have in the municipality of Chester, and, you know, whatever.
Well, I can answer that because the community signs that are in the municipality are
Welcome you to-
usually a result of a community organization or a group in the
Oh,
area.
Chester Basin has its own welcome
Have put
sign.
them out, right?
These aren't community welcome signs, I guess is what I was trying to say.
And I don't think,
They're welcome to the municipality of Chester signs.
because I don't think we're going down the road of like HRM and having all the same type of signs. They have all blue signs that mention the communities when you drive along the
But we
highway.
don't have that.
No, and that would be very expensive.
So these are just at the entry points to our geographic boundaries, political boundaries,
Mhm.
welcoming you to the municipality of Chester as a whole. But that's what our welcome signs are. And again, I have no issue with, but my understanding is there's no such thing as a traditional name for it. But to use their language also to welcome you to the municipality of the district of Chester is a non-issue to me, but if we're gonna go down the road of, then we need signs in every community you enter.
Okay, so in terms of direction then for staff.
I don't know,
when-
I'm only speaking my own view.
Yeah.
But I know what the signs are. I know what we set out to do was to welcome you to the municipality of Chester.
Just as a comment, so it's not to do with the direction here around the municipality of Chester, but to make sure that I'm transparent. Using the words about setting out to do. I will go back, first year of COVID, when we discussed and had the beautification program initiated, and we leveraged $50,000, I think, for a couple of beautification projects, which were good here. I had the discussion and sent you correspondence, Alan, and others that, and I did bring it here to the table, so we haven't given up on it, but it takes time and money. So in my community, we are looking still, and we'll do it sometime when we again get the volunteers and get the manpower, get the money together. We will be doing community identifying signage, like you'll refer to HRM. So those would be placed at the 3 locations for the communities of New Ross.
And I happen to check.
So I
the
just, I
basement
just
of
wanted to
Richard
say
Elder
that, so I
made
didn't want you to
it.
think that I was like, say we got a big pot of money, we did it like a month after, and, maybe put our big sign in front of your little sign. I'm joking, that's not gonna happen, because it's still the same value.
I just want a little different, sorry. So it flows from the design, so if we put, will we put welcome to the municipality of the district of Chester?
Yeah.
I'm just, because it's a lot of wording, or what would you propose for that? I guess.
Well, I mean, there needs to be space.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting
Space
at.
is
That's
some
a lot of
issue,
words.
like, it is an issue.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, but all I'm saying is we're welcoming you to the municipality of Chester. These are not community signs per se. It's welcoming you to the entirety of the municipality of Chester. So if we're gonna do it, it needs to reflect that.
We're gonna have signs that say goodbye, thank you for coming at the other end.
No, well, look, you can just go on forever, like it's,
What?
Next year.
yeah. But I mean, the little community welcome signs, some of us have them in our community because
Yeah.
members of our community
Yeah.
made them, put them up and whatever. And but that's a different thing than welcome to the municipality of Chester.
How much, the budget was quite, I thought that was a lot of money.
Well, look, we're talking about cutting the signs and, well, making them smaller because they're monstrous and
So in terms of direction for staff, I think it would help to know, continue to engage with Acadia First Nations and how they would welcome people to the municipality in terms of it welcome in Mi'kmaq language. Just for clarity,
Oh, yeah.
smaller signs, perhaps come back with a design of what that might look like,
Yes.
once we incorporate that.
yeah.
And are the locations,
Well, the
okay?
locations those are the border
Saying
crossings.
smaller signs, but put more on them.
Yeah,
Well, but it's not much more on them. All I'm saying is whatever,
We don't know yet.
I don't know how their language would express that, and I'm, just because I have no clue. But I'm assuming that it would just be a welcome to
Yeah,
Chester.
So I would say that there's probably like the sign shop, the provincial sign shop, I'm assuming they would have standards. And the standards are based on being able to read the signs. So we'll ask them to provide, so when we come back with a design, we'll seek advice on what the recommendation is for the font size, for lack of the correct term. And then you can decide,
I mean, some of our other
if
welcomes.
you wish to make it smaller than what's recommended for folks that are driving by, you wish to read what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, Gary.
Just want to ask a question of Aaron. I wasn't here for the initial discussion. That was before my time, so I kept him up. From an economic development point of view, is this a good investment?
It does apply to branding, right? So having people be aware of where the municipal borders begin and end. I mean, it speaks to the whole branding piece of the municipality of Chester. So on the signage, I mean, the direction that we're going towards in terms of design would be the logo, like the new logo that we have, right? So having that placed at the entrances does speak to that and increases awareness of our municipality.
So the answer is yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, on the marketing piece, yes,
Market.
yes.
Yeah, and I'm just to add to the size pieces, like most of our other signs are on the 103. So you're driving fast and you're whatever, so the size is more significant, it's more important, I suppose.
Mhm.
Most of these other locations are on
Like
slower moving roads. In front of
3 by 4.
houses, in communities, like where a big sign would make it.
And I think what we're gonna put on the sign will determine the size of the sign.
Yeah.
Like Dan said, you're gonna respect, for, and small, like, and I guess I would say, and I'm just putting it out there, are we gonna, French is our official language as well. So are we gonna put welcome to the municipality, Chester French? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could, like you say, you do it's a slippery slope in some cases.
Well, that's why if we're gonna use it,
Yeah.
I think it should be consistent with our own message of welcome to the municipality of Chester. It should not be inconsistent with that.
so I just have comment and then a question. So when you mentioned our new logo on the signs, I just had a flashback of when we went through the process of arriving at that new logo. And recognizing that 3 of these signs might go in the community of New Ross, I'm glad that we've incorporated a tree. Because the first go round didn't have a tree. Just had a sailboat. That's all I'm saying. Is, not sure how long the signs would stay up. What my question is, in the report, it says staff have heard back from Acadia First Nation who have indicated that they would like to be involved in the sign development to acknowledge traditional place names, I'm sorry, and in the process of setting up the meeting. So that discussion has started.
We have yet to have a meeting.
Yes, no, that's
But-
fine. But
but
you've reached back.
They have
You've heard
indicated,
back, and
yes.
they've indicated that they would like to be involved in the sign development.
Mhm.
So that's
Yes.
wonderful.
Well, we need to know how they would say welcome to the municipality of Chester, but
To
I,
acknowledge traditional place names.
no, because that's who we are. That's what we're promoting. That's what the sign is for.
And just for the record, when it comes back for discussion, I'm not gonna do it today. But in the report, the priority outcomes, economic development. I think it has to be a little stronger statement than that to justify the expenditure. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. I think it's pretty. I don't see how it does what it says there.
So I guess if council supports that, you're asking for an economic analysis.
Not totally.
We weren't asked to do an economic analysis. We were asked to come back with locations and costs.
Yeah.
If you wish for us to do that, we could probably put a little of effort towards that.
Then we shouldn't be bothered to do anything else until you decide on whether it's economically makes any sense.
Well, is it doing what, the priority, does it meet the priority statement? I mean, just on first blush, if you think it does, let's read it. If you think it does, fine, don't do that kind of development. I just think it's a little thin.
So you're reading the priority outcomes economic development. That's right out of our report.
That's
That's right out-
Our-
that's right in the strategic plan.
I know where it comes from.
Yeah.
I know where it comes from, but I'm just saying,
So when we look at other requests for decisions,
yeah, I get it.
those statements are,
I get it, we have to justify based
Oh,
on
yes,
those policies.
yes. That is who we are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if it's only small on the sign, we should make sure the word district is in there.
Okay.
Because technically, we have 2 municipal governments within, like, the village is a
Oh,
municipality.
yes, you can't say welcome to Chester because that.
No, that's why I asked. Is it- Yeah,
It's the.
it's a district
We're
of,
the
yeah.
district of Chester as opposed to the village of
What
Chester.
do we have on our other?
So the logo does not have district in it. Does that mean that that council does not want to use the logo?
Well,
I don't know, it's on the logo.
It's the municipality of Chester.
Which is separate from the village of Chester.
Yeah, anyway. The legal name is district. It's
Yes.
our district, as opposed to a town or a village or.
With marketing and branding, though.
The district is what we are.
Mm.
Everything else, we're all municipalities, Halifax is municipality, Chester, is all, it's just, that's just a form of government.
No
there
district.
should be a first.
I don't, no, I don't.
But
I
that's not-
think,
this is the-
as long as you're saying municipality as opposed to something else. Yeah, this isn't a legal document, it's a welcome sign. I know, I'm sorry.
Sure, I want to address that.
That's my legal opinion on that one.
I want to address Dan's comment, and I think he perhaps took it a little too far. I'm not saying we didn't come back and make on a study. I said, everybody read those 2 lines, and do you think putting these signs up, spending $100,000 plus advances?
It was
that policy?
$15,000.
What, yeah, what did I say?
$100,000.
I'm trying to get through this. It'd be 100.
Yeah, make the sign have size.
Anyway, I guess maybe greatest things since sliced bread. I'm just saying, look at that as advancing that particular policy objective. That's all. I don't want an economic study. I just want people to think.
I never dreamt this would be this complicated.
No.
No, I'm just.
Oh, you're wrong.
No, we thought we'd just go get some 4x4 signs and put them up in these little roads.
Yeah.
That's what we thought.
It's a small thing. It's a small thing, I know, but.
Yeah.
you know,
It's important. It is important to work.
I'm gonna come back.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. I think I have direction then on reduce signs and costs associated with that and continue to consult with Acadia First Nation, is that correct?
Yes, we
Okay.
want,
And
we
discuss
want,
with
we
Jerry.
want to know what
Yes.
the wording would be for welcome municipality assessment.
Just go back and look
Maybe
at
a
the table.
3x4 or a 4x4 would be enough, 3x4.
And I don't know whether we'll end up putting anything else on over the course of time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, where am I now?
Accessibility, this will be.
Sure it will be. No.
That was an interesting report.
That's a huge one. Let's move on to, oh, put that a little lower on, well, I mean, it's almost lunchtime, right? So we're gonna move to 10.2.
Oh,
Are we?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just that that's a big one. You know,
It is.
request for decision prepared by community development, designated community fund, request community, together we can community society.
It's their money.
Yes, their money.
Yeah.
And
Motion.
Yes, it is.
So, oh, sorry, it's yours. I thought it was mine.
Doesn't
Sorry,
matter.
sorry.
So moved.
I'll second that. Sorry.
discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion carried. 10.3, request community development record, new road name assignment. Those have lately been,
Hmm.
Lots of roads, man.
well, sure, well, I know, but
Camping Mill Lane.
And no.
It's your,
What's that?
road name.
It's, I don't know where it
off
is.
of Beach Hill Road.
Yes, sorry.
10.3,
I'm just trying to find my, yes, motion to approve.
discussion,
Just trying to find-
all those in favor,
That's for me.
opposed, motion is carried.
Someone tell me what page we're on.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm so
We're
far
having
having
trouble
trouble.
with that accessibility. We skipped over that.
We did,
Yeah,
yes.
we're on 100 page, 55.
Yes, that's
Where we are, what page?
We're on, I don't have a page number, I just know it's item 10.4.
258. Perfect.
Oh, I've got to grab Erin for this one. We ran through that quicker. She left thinking we were.
It's gotta be a while on accessibility.
Are we
Well,
going
I
back to
just,
that?
I just
Oh,
know.
no,
it's
I'm
gonna
not,
take-
I'm just, yeah,
We're
no.
going back to that?
No, no,
No.
Erin was thinking that she would, yeah.
Can I say it?
Yes, please.
So,
So that's, yeah. Well, did you have lunch?
Oh, we hadn't planned on it.
Aren't we supposed to be about 1:45? Oh, okay, well, I don't care a bit about that, I don't want it, I just assumed that. They said 1:45, so I just assumed.
You're back.
Well, let's hope for the best here.
there, now.
Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park Standards document.
Yes, okay, so staff have prepared, in council with our municipal solicitor, a number of documents here when it comes to selling lots at the Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park.
Yeah.
As well as a valuation that we received, from a commercial realtor in terms of what they would deem the lots to be valued at a per acre basis. We have attached 5 different documents. They go over the purchasing process for purchasing a lot of Kaiser Meadow, and in there, a couple of points are requiring a site plan to be submitted with their application form. And then go through this process, which I haven't gone through in detail, but if you have any questions, then I'm happy to answer them. And then there is an outline of park rules for lot owners as well as the services that come with the purchase of a lot at the Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park. Restrictive covenants, and then finally, the standard terms and conditions, just giving purchasers an idea of what to expect when it comes to the actual terms that would be attached to the contract. But of course, each one would get their own individual terms of purchase and sale agreement made out for that individual purchase of the lot. So what we're looking for today from council is approve the communication and use of the attached documents for the Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park. Furthermore, adopt the attached valuation received from KW Commercial Advisors as the market price for lots located in the Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park. And the reasoning behind having this kind of set up front, speaks to investment readiness, being able to respond to inquiries really
People
quickly.
walk
and
in the door,
efficiently.
want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that goes a long way when it comes to trying to attract potential investors.
Yeah. You know what to buy.
Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions, go over anything.
Very happy with it.
No, I think Sam must be.
One of these must have already looked.
Oh,
at it.
yeah, he's done, yeah, that's.
So we want motion to approve, we have a seconder,
Second.
discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion carried. That was a little simpler than last
Yeah,
one.
that's good.
Thank you.
Next one's
Am
the
I next?
sponsorship.
Okay, so this should be even simpler. It's just a memo for information, advising council of 2 recent sponsorships that were approved.
Which you had the right to do without asking us.
Yes, they're both for hockey. So they were $500 each, hockey sponsorships.
That was interesting when I wasn't sure what the Western Riptides were until I saw this thing. I didn't know there was even such a league or
Yes.
a team, yeah.
It's exciting,
Yeah.
yeah. Both my daughters are in the
Oh,
Western
yeah.
Riptide team, so it's exciting to have an all-female league that spans across the South Shore.
Sure.
And it's growing,
All
so.
female league, isn't that?
Yeah, I knew.
Boys can't join.
I was waiting for that.
Goes to a discussion we had earlier.
Forsyth Falcons is the boys team, though, I think.
Oh.
We're past that, guys.
Yeah, we're on to something else now.
I
Well,
guess
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Good
yeah.
research. Thank you.
good reasons.
Although I think females can join the hockey team if they wish, if they can.
Okay.
And I,
Sorry, I shouldn't have said it.
and I think anybody can play sledge hockey.
Ah.
I really do.
Let's not go back there.
No,
Sorry.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm out of order.
I think they can as long as they want to do it.
yeah, he's out of order and so are you.
Wow.
Okay, what am I doing now?
Proclamation.
Proclamation, International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
We have a request that when we do proclamations, we read the proclamation just to
Okay.
give it signify the importance that it should have. So would you like to read it or would you like me to read it?
Today I'll do it. Whereas International Day of Persons with Disabilities is celebrated annually on December 3rd across the world and has been promoted by the United Nations since 1992. And whereas International Day of Persons with Disabilities celebrates the value of diversity, supports education about disabilities, creates optimism, and initiates accessibility actions. And whereas the municipality of District of Chester is committed to improving accessibility by removing and preventing barriers. And whereas the municipality of District of Chester supports creating an inclusive society where all individuals can positively participate with equal opportunities in barrier-free communities. And whereas International Day of Persons with Disabilities is an opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of people with disabilities, to celebrate accessibility and diversity, and to recognize the importance of becoming more inclusive for all. Therefore, be it resolved that December 3rd be declared as International Day of Persons with Disabilities in the municipality of the District of Chester.
I so move.
And I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor? We're gonna take a 10-minute break and then we're gonna do,
Accessibility.
No, we've got, accessibility appointments.
and one in-camera matter.
We have district council. That should
A
be-
district council.
And one, I can do the district council grant before we take the break.
Right, so just so that I'm clear on what's, we have 10.7 and 10.8. 10.8 was added, that's the district grant.
Oh,
And we have 10.1, are we adding 10.1 after?
We're gonna do it, yeah.
We're gonna do it, okay, after the break.
Yes.
10.1 and 10.7.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna do the accessibility report. I
Yeah.
just thought it's gonna take us a while, so
Okay,
Yeah. finish the
Yeah.
rest of the agenda, take a 10-minute break,
Okay.
come in and do it.
thank you.
So you got your district grant request?
I do, and I just didn't know if Chad needed to be up or not, but, so I confirmed with Chad, that there's 3,200 remaining in the district council grant fund for District 6. So it's a remaining amount in the current fiscal year. And so there is a district council grant application from.
Oh, we did.
Now,
There's a
just a paper copy.
I think you can do that.
Yeah.
I move.
Oh,
No, she may not want the whole thing.
yeah, no, that's, yeah, no, I'm okay with this. Yeah.
Full amount?
Yeah, I have the remaining two that come in the winter time for an event. So yes, yes, I would move the approval of this district council grant as it is before you.
Second discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion carried. And I think that 10.7 should be relatively quick too. Request for corporate GMA, Limerick Accessibility Advisory Committee, and say appointment of members.
Yep, I can do this one. I just have to find it here. So the Lunenburg County Accessibility Committee requires some new members. We had just appointed some members. We had some terms expire and we had, I believe, one member pass away.
Yes.
So the recommendation is to appoint Louise Hopper for a term ending December 2023. Peggy McCalla for a 3-year, reappoint for a 3-year term. Dylan Robar, appoint for a 3-year term, and Teresa Alexander Arab, appoint for a 3-year term, and that's coming from the Mayors and Wardens Group, which is the group that makes the recommendation to councils.
This may be an old report, but Dylan Robar has recently passed away. It's the same Dylan.
Well, we only met a couple weeks
I
ago.
only met a couple weeks ago.
If he's the one that's at Enhanced Riverview Living, I think he,
I truly didn't know him. I don't know.
I wasn't aware of that.
unless there's another Dylan Robar.
Well, I don't know.
I think I would
Yeah, I don't know.
this recommendation goes to all 5
5
councils. And I think we're the last to have
Approved it.
approved it.
It could be somebody.
Maybe,
Yeah, it could be somebody.
Obviously, if he's passed away, we'll have to reappoint somebody.
Yeah.
If somebody's prepared to move, we appoint. Correct. Accept the recommendation.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation and reappoint.
Or
Second that motion.
discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motions carried.
You have to address it.
And do you want to do, you asked me to add something to the agenda. Tina.
No, she did, that was done, the district grant was done.
Oh, yeah, we did, okay. Okay, so
So
we're going,
a break and then we'll go back to 10.1
Yeah.
and then the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.